and welcome to this special edition of Resource Watch. We're coming to you from Mining Lekgotla 2014, a think tank that brings together legislators, miners and unions. I'm Nozipho Mbanjwa. Thank you for making the time to join us. Let's start off by taking a quick look at what this Lekgotla aims to do.
Lekgotla is a Tswana word for meeting. This year's talks take place as South Africa marks 20 years of democracy. So the miners and industry stakeholders have been assessing their impact on the economy over the past 2 decades. Transformation and the development of mining communities came under the spotlight.
At the heart of transformation is the imperative to promote inclusive growth that also benefit workers, communities, and the economy at large. Transformation is not just a cost burden, but a business imperative which delivers good business results.
The conference also takes place against the backdrop of 2 critical regulatory processes happening this year: the amendment of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Bill and an audit of the Mining Charter, which set 10-year transformation targets, including 26% black ownership of mining companies.
Thank you so much for joining us once again. Interesting conversations today, trying to reflect back on 20 years and also chart the path forward in terms of where we're going. What has been the biggest achievement across the sector in the last 2 decades?
You know, the mining industry was associated with the migrant labor system, which really perpetuated apartheid because it took people away from their homes of origin and separated families. But with the mining industry's commitment to democracy, we have seen that there's been more of an attempt to demonstrate to employees that they are equal citizens. No discrimination at the workplace, so equal opportunity for anyone who wants to achieve whatever they can. Guaranteed, there are skills barriers that prevent people from getting to those levels. However, there isn't anything stopping you by race or by gender of achieving the fullest that you can in the mining sector today. Just by way of improvement of the communities around us, we have seen that the mining industry has built schools, has built clinics, has built houses, has contributed to the infrastructure development like building of dams such as the Goedehoop Dam in Limpopo. The list is endless. Has built roads. All this has happened in the new South Africa, for lack of a better word.
Sis Khansile, you know, all of these achievements are noted and of course are commendable, and a lot has changed in the industry. But one thing has stayed intact, and that's the migrant labor system.
Oh, yeah.
Is this possibly the one biggest failure of the mining community to bring real transformation to the industry?
It is. I think if you ask any mining boss, what is the biggest thorn in your side? It is the migrant labor system. But I think we should also contextualize the migrant labor system, because what do you do when you say you eradicate? You say tomorrow I stop employing. What are the implications for the areas where those people come from? Are you therefore saying everybody who comes from the Eastern Cape, everybody who comes from Lesotho, everybody who comes from Mozambique, leave? Or are you rather saying through natural attrition, when people retire, when people pass on, when people leave to go on to other jobs, you make sure that you focus on local employment? And that's one of the areas that the mining charter has.
So would you say that a shock system, a shock approach, where one would take drastic measures to try to break the back of the system, would in the long term actually work against all concerned?
I think it would probably be more harmful than useful. As I say, to say tomorrow, no more, next year. Then you're leaving many communities destitute. And there was a speaker on women in mining now who spoke about traditionally rock drill operators as an example, who are quite a backbone of the mining industry, have come from Pondoland, have come from Lesotho, have come from Mozambique. Do you therefore say all of them go and tomorrow I start training rock drill operators? There's also a skills upskilling that needs to happen in that space. But I think then our approach is to say, how do we improve the migrant labor system?
But speaking of transitions, we're also seeing that the industry is transitioning from being labor intensive to machine intensive,
yes,
and to being capital intensive. What does this mean for the future of workers in South Africa, mining workers in particular?
It means you will have a worker base with with different types of skills, because in order to operate those machines you have to have done maths and science, because you have to do some sort of mechanical engineering operators. It also means a lot for women in mining, because now women don't have to carry the hard drill, but they can be in a machine that operates that. So it says that it talks to the strategy that government is embarking on education to get a better skilled student coming out of the education system, and therefore that one is more ready for us, fit to come into the workplace.
You sit as the Vice President of the Chamber of Mines, and at the same time as Executive Director at Anglo American, you've seen the divesting that's happening at a firm level. And at the same time, from what I'm hearing, is that there are very positive prospects for the mining industry in South Africa. Which of these two worlds are you more closely aligned to?
I'm closely aligned to both, because my industry role is not in a vacuum. It's the voice of mining companies sitting all around and belonging to an industry body. Their concerns are the same. The issues around mechanizing in platinum, the gold sector has been doing that for a number of years. You know, the issues in open cast mining, it's not only Anglo Thermal Coal, they also are the same issues that affect Exxaro as a coal mining company. That affect Glencore as a coal mining company. So it is just that it's not an operational, it's more of a policy making space and building relationships, so that we ensure that the growth discussions have to take place at the Chamber of Mines. And then we then filter them down to our companies and say, well, this is your role to play in ensuring that this economy grows. And if each and every mining company is profitable, it is best case scenario for the industry and it's best case scenario for the country.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. We're speaking to the General Secretary of the National Union of Mine Workers, Mr. Frans Baleni. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. It's quite interesting that when we're talking about the transformation of the mining industry, that the voice of the unions is held in such high regard, given the fact that many from the investor community have blamed the unions for maybe the negative perception that the industry has achieved. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's important that unions play a strategic role in the construction of the mining industry and the economy. And therefore, we have to deal with the perception that the labor contribute to the negativity of the mining industry. Yes, there are certain perceptions which we have to deal in realities, but as a majority union, which command over 66% in the mining industry, we've got a duty to lead and provide guidance insofar as the transformation agenda is concerned.
We've just come out of a manufacturing sector strike, and previously we had the longest and costliest strike in the platinum belt. Would you say that the collective bargaining system in South Africa has failed?
I wouldn't say the collective bargaining system has failed. We are referring to only 2 incidents of collective bargaining, whereas we've got a number of bargaining forums and structures. There are certain things which we have to correct, however. For example, tolerance of violence, tolerance of intimidation, violation of individuals' rights when a strike is in progress where others are prevented to embark on a strike.
I want us to go into that issue because unions have come under immense pressure about doing away with the voting system and the democracy that underlines the right to strike. Is this happening at the NUM?
I'm sure you will agree with us in the media likes self-regulation. What the unions are saying that insofar as the balloting in a case of a strike, it must be self-regulated. As the NUM, for example, our constitution dictates that we should ballot, whereas the Labour Relations Act does not say we should ballot. So we are at liberty to use it or not to use it, but our constitution makes a provision of balloting.
Is it a secret ballot?
It has to be a secret ballot according to our constitution, but we don't want government to impose it because it can be used wrongly by employers who can intimidate workers from participating in ballot. So it's better when it is self-regulated, like in a constitution of the union.
Frans, I want us to take a couple of steps back. the last couple of strikes in South Africa have all been concluded on the back of a call for a double digit. And in particular, it seems as if 10% increases have become the bare minimum for which unions will move from. Is this a good development for the economy that anything below 10% is not considered an increase?
Not really. Firstly, we're looking at a minimum wage.